All that talking you doing too much, my nigga, please just pray for me. The pressure of life can be weighted, and oftentimes it's hard to beat logic when your heart implicated. My nigga, pray for me. The price of admission for sale. My mind is in prison, so I'm pleading with God. Can he pay my bail? My nigga, pray for me. Cause I'm praying for you. Cause I'm praying for you. Cause I'm praying for you. All these illusions, I'm tasting forbidden fruit, is confusing. I put my blood on these records, I'm tired of oozing. I'm human. I make mistakes, but I'm just tired of losing. I walk on top of life searching answers, but I drown in my music. I'm swimming deeper than the roots on the trees. Holy water could wipe it clean, but it still left a stain with blood on the leaves. But that's when niggas leave. Like when you freak a black, get rid of that nicotine. Trying to plant a seed with these mustard dreams. We just wanna be equal. We can act like Brian Nichols, but we doing it peaceful. I keep my peace full. This world cruel. Streets don't give a fuck about no black man. We ain't the same race, but what you paving for that next man. My biggest fear at this point is just living my life. Cause a white man would try to kill me, won't even think about it twice. I pray for my son, feel like I'm setting him up. This shit, I fear for his life. But it's God's test, it's like I'm Abraham and he Isaac. I put his heart to my knife. My nigga, pray for me. The pressure of life can be weighted, and oftentimes it's hard to beat logic when your heart implicated. My nigga, pray for me. The price of admission for sale. My mind is in prison, so I'm pleading with God. Can he pay my bail? My nigga, pray for me. This is for me and for you. Walk through the valley of shadow of death, but here's some light that guide us through. My nigga, pray for me. Cause I'm praying for you. Cause I'm praying for you. Cause I'm praying for you.
I like that last one. That last sound like a word.
Cause I'm praying for you. Cause I'm praying for you. Cause I'm praying for you.
Incredible fucking song. Incredible fucking song. I know.
All that talking you doing too much, my nigga, please just pray for
my boy
me.
Jarrell, I don't know if he's using that one. I don't know if you know what you got with that one, but again, my boy Hope is called Pray For Me. Been listening to this shit a lot. Like every day, bro, every day. But again, we back. This is ESP, man. This is ESP. It's your boy Steve. Let me get my name up here because I do this shit every week and I forget. There you go, the Radical Sneakerhead. Good afternoon, man. Glad y'all back. We're gonna go ahead and just do something quick. Talk about, as the title says, reinventing yourself. This is our Saturday edition of Therapy Thursday. If you maybe go back a few episodes, we did Therapy Thursday with Matt, maybe right around the first few episodes. I think it was pretty good. A lot of people said that they liked it. They had a lot of useful information. And so I figured, hey, why not run it again? Just run it extra season style. So again, I got to give you the usual. If you've been here long enough, you know what the usual is. Well, fuck it, let's do this shit.
Giuseppe, went from the hoop to the Chevy, went from the Chevy to Lamb, now these hoes call me the man, went from no hope to broke joke to $1 million man, now these hoes call me the man, now these hoes call me the man, Giuseppe, went from the hoop to the Chevy, went from the Chevy to Lamb, now these hoes call me the man, went from no hope to broke joke to $1 million man. Now these hoes call me the man. Now these hoes call me the man.
Yes, sir. That is an intro every week. Every week. It's my boy Matt on the song. It's Pops. But we have co-opted his shit and made it our theme song. I think it's a dope song. Go ahead and check it out. Follow him at Prince Kennedy on IG. And tell him Steve sent you. But today, I got to give it to you. I got to give you my intro. No disrespect to the politically correct, But we need that extra season. If it's worth doing, you know it's worth overdoing, baby. So, I am your host, the radical sneakerhead, the vaccine villain, Steve. Oh, but DJ's not here this week, but he should be back next week. So he should be sprinkling some of that extra seasoning. So, this week, since we're going to, I guess, do Therapy Thursday, it's not necessarily our normal show format, but I don't see why we can't keep it, the same way. Flowers. So my flowers this week, I had this thing that I was just sitting and thinking about, and it was just, a funny post that I saw on Instagram. It was about women having great imaginations and things of that nature. But it was, I wanted to give flowers to forgiving women this week. And I think that could be taken two ways. I think as guys, we have dealings with women, different women from time to time, and it's like you have situations you probably need to let go. I think as guys, if a woman hurt you in third grade, if a girl hurt you in third grade, high school, whatever else, you gotta let some of that shit go, man. You can't take a lot of things from your past dealings with other people. You can't take that shit into new relationships, new friendships. I think we as men need to start forgiving women for a lot of the shit that's just petty in general, but just be, more forgiving to women as men. And also, shout out to your forgiving women. The post was just saying that, women just, they have this great imagination. Who puts that much into somebody who puts their mattresses on the floor? And again, it's supposed to be funny, but just shout out to women for seeing the best in you when you don't see the best in yourself. And that could be your mother, your girlfriend, your wife, whoever. We appreciate you for for keeping us going. And so that actually kind of goes into how we got here this week. So let's get started. So the topic for this week with Therapy Thursday would be reinventing yourself. Just figuring out who you want to be. Some people at this point in life, the world is opening back up, and people are trying to pivot. I'm doing it myself. A lot of people, they sat down the entire pandemic, and it kind of revealed some things to you about yourself. You might not like the people that you hang with. You might not like your current job. You might just, want to pick up a new freaking hobby. But again, I think that at this point in life, since the world is opening back up, it's time that we, take a step back, look at ourselves, and just try to reinvent ourselves. A couple of points to hit. Let's talk about some self-awareness. Let's talk about over-preparation. I think that's a big one. Allowing yourself to feel, and also leveraging your pain. It's a big one. That's the reason. There is a reason that is the last point, but definitely leveraging your pain. So let's start with self-awareness. The thing about self-awareness, self-awareness seems like it comes at different stages for people. At least for me, like when I first graduated high school, the most self-awareness I did have was just knowing that I didn't necessarily want to go to school. I talked to my boy Leighton last week when he joined for the Thank You for Your Service stream that we did, and I just talked about him. I thought it was good that him at 17, 18, he knew who he was. He knew he wanted to go to the military. He knew that he didn't want to go into debt going to college, not necessarily knowing what he wanted to do even when he got finished. And so he said, forget it. I'm going to go serve the country. I'm going to go travel. I'm going to, get to see these places, meet new people, and I'm going to do it on your dime. I think self-awareness for an 18-year-old at that point is something that I only envy. I'm still learning myself every day. I think many people are. And self-awareness can hit you, in the midst of terrible situations. It can hit you in the midst of great situations, I think. But when you actually sit there, I guess some people call it being woke. I don't know, but I think you have to try and pay attention, because when it does hit you, that's a moment you want to hold on to, because at that point you're starting to learn things about yourself you didn't know. You might be hanging with some people. Y'all might go on vacation, and you see that a lot. People go on vacation, and all of a sudden these friend groups break up. I think that's because somebody finally got some self-awareness about themselves. Y'all were going out, and you sitting there like, you know what? I hate going on vacation with these people who, every time we get here, y'all want to go eat chicken nuggets. You're like, listen, you gotta be self-aware. You know that your palate is expansive. You like, listen, we go out, I don't want to eat shit that I can get at home. If that causes your friend group to break up, then maybe that's not the people that you should be hanging with. I think that's a good bit of self-awareness for you right there. And for me, just even recently, like my self-awareness, you sit and you say, okay, this whole thing about working in IT, I think IT is so diluted now because it's just, you've been told that you can get this great job and you can go out there and, you know, you can help people and be a part of an organization and code and whatever else. All that shit is well and good. But I think, at least for me, I've been paying attention to just who I am as a person, about like, you always say, hey, I like to talk and whatever else. But I've been looking at maybe like switching to HR. I think for me, HR, I never wanted to disrespect a profession, other people's profession. So I never like talk bad about HR or whatever. But HR just seems like it's just so simple, and it's this thing that is just so easy to do. You just, cause hell, I never knew what the hell HR was about. I'm like, okay, you go to a new job and there's like, how you put it? It's recruiting and training and everything else. You go in your new job and they give you this paperwork and they give you these forms to sign and different things like that. And that's probably the deepest I knew about HR. But I mean, you got different parts of HR. I mean, even if you don't know what you want to do, I guess you could just be an HR generalist. But again, if you're a people person and you love to talk, I've started looking, I'm like, okay, HR may be for me. And so within doing all of that, I had to sit back and look at things that I thought that I wanted, things that I thought, you know, that I wanted back in the day. And so it was just like, okay, originally you doing IT and you doing it because you want to try and make money. And it's just like, okay, cool. Making money is fine, but if you get up and you go in this place and you hate this shit every day, eventually you're going to burn out. Because you sit there and it's like, okay, I'm working here, I'm trying to be paid, but at the same time, I'm not actually taking any steps to learn any new things. You come into work and you just like, okay, cool, let me just come in, do my tickets, try to do what I can do, and I'm going to get the hell on. And it's all well and good, but when you first starting out, that's not the attitude you should have with any job. And so I think in telling that story, I think it's just important for people to, I think a good part of being self-aware is just being well-intentioned, you know, about just anything you say you're trying to do, any career path you're trying to go down, just be well-intentioned, do your research. I think research is a big part of self-awareness. I see my guy just popped up. But let's hit that next point, but I'll actually bring him in so we can hit that next point. Let me see if he can hear me. Hold on. Yo, Matt, can you hear me? Let me see. Let me add him in. There we go. My boy Matt. Let's see if I can get him in. Yeah, I think you muted yourself. There you go. Take your yeah, there we go. All right. Let me see. Unmute yourself, my boy. Unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Nah, I can't. I know you're trying to say something, but I can't. I think it's in the tab. You should be able to unmute it. Let's see. I still can't hear you, man. I still can't hear you. I don't know. I would say drop off and pop back in. But let's see. Cause it just, there you go. I can hear you now. There you go.
Giuseppe.
Okay, there you go. Mr. Giuseppe. I was like, what the hell's going on?
From the hoop to the Chevy.
Right. So again, I was going through these points, talking about the topic of reinvention, reinventing yourself, just reinventing your life. And so the points that I had underneath that were just about self-awareness, over-preparation, allowing yourself to feel, and leveraging your pain. And so before we even get into that, I want to go ahead and let y'all know who my guy is. This is Mr. Prince Kennedy, or Matty Twice, Matt Ugly, as his daddy calls him, Matthew. It's
Matthew.
my cousin, my brother. Yeah, he's actually the guy on the theme song for the show called Pops. Again, if y'all listen to any of the shows and you know hear the song, go to his page and check him out. I don't know how much music you got up there, but y'all go.
I got the new mixtape.
Okay, what's it called?
It's for mature.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
y'all check that out. My bio.
But I mean, if you want to introduce yourself better than I did, go ahead and just give us a little bit. Give us a little bit about your life and your music and stuff like that.
And I just try to create on a daily basis. You know, right now I'm rocking this T-shirt that I just put out. It says Fellini's in La Fonda parking only. For ATLians to enjoy, you know. So that's out. We got the T-shirt sales going. I'm my varsity football coach, and that's by day, by night. You know, I just be trying to do different creative things, whether it be music or stuff in the film space, but comedy as well. I can't barely keep up with how the shit I'm doing. I start saying shit, I'm doing like, damn.
Right.
I be close, but no, I really be doing shit. But I love this type of podcast format that you've been going on, man. You know, I did the Therapy Thursdays over the last fucking pandemic summer where everybody was stressed out. I wanted to start that as a way to check in on people. And, I love this type of dialogue.
Right, and I mean, we co-opted this shit in a way. I thought so when we first started, we sat down and we talked and we did the Therapy Thursday thing, and it got like a good amount of feedback. I thought it was good just for me because I tell people all the time like this show. I mean, I don't care if it's 4 or 5 people watching it every week. This is how I keep from going insane. You know, like this is no matter what the situation, the topic that we sit down and talk about. This is for me. This is how I keep from having my headspace all effed up, you know. So again, let's just get into it. Sit down and talk. I already talked a little bit about self-awareness. Do you consider yourself a very self-aware person at this point in your life?
Yes, I consider myself self-aware. I feel like that's important. To just kind of get an idea. You're never going to be fully self-aware, but to just have some kind of consciousness as to how society, the larger strangers view you. I think that's a safety mechanism as a black man. You kind of have to have self-awareness. And, it's just a part of, being able to move throughout society, whether it be code switching, whether it be, just making yourself non-threatening, which is a shame that we have to check all these checks off the checklist. But I have my registration up here instead of in the glove box so that I can get to it without reaching for shit. That's all part of self-awareness.
That's facts. Like even
I'm DC right now, actually.
That's
go see my
going to see my boy Max, huh?
Yeah.
All right. All right, shout out to Candace, man.
Yeah, shout out to the whole crew,
But even in just what you said, like keeping your registration like above your head and everything else, it's kind of like black people getting pulled over by the police. It's kind of like practice in a way because like I know for me, after this one time that I got pulled over, and again, I always go back to the situation when I got pulled over in Fayetteville for some stupid shit like a U-turn. Um, before that, I had been doing it, but even after that situation, I would kind of practice, like, I would look over myself as like I'm going to an interview. Just guys coming down to the window, and I'm like, okay, seatbelt on, because I don't want to get fucked with about that. You hurry up and move around and get your wallet, sit your shit in your lap, so that way when they get there, they're looking down. It's like, okay, cool, shine the light in. Everything is good. I don't have to touch shit. And I just nobody that's not black man, black woman, whoever, I don't think they ever would even consider doing any shit like that.
Because it's not life or death for them.
At all.
Our self-awareness is a matter of life and death. At the most, your reason to be self-aware if you're not black is maybe, I don't know, just for your own fashion. Maybe
right.
Looking, But for us, yeah, we want to look nice, but we also want to stay alive,
Right. Right.
As far as like I know a lot of people's parents will tell them to put a suit on when they go take their ID picture or to go take your license picture. Look as nice as you can, so that when you get pulled over, they pull that out and they say, "Oh, well, this guy had a suit and tie on,
right.
So maybe he's a gangster."
And all in all, it's still not enough. Never will be, And so as we talk about not being enough, and anything you can do to finesse these situations. Let's talk about over preparation. I think over preparation, and this is with anything, but just mainly as far as like just your life in general. I know for me, I think over preparation at this point in my life is very, very necessary, because I would much rather cover all bases, cover all my points, psych myself out, immerse myself with any kind of information that I need in situations. Like I honestly, I give people random facts for no fucking reason, but I think that's just me trying to hone my conversational skills, and because you just never know who you're talking to. I think when it comes to just your job in general, a lot of people don't realize that they already have that promotion. They already, they already have secured that job. They have over-prepared, psyched themselves out. They go in there and people just offer it to you. But I still think it's important, because as you get older, your mind is just not as sharp. Like you'll sit there and then you'll go through things and you'll be like, okay, I just looked at that and I should have read it, but I just thought maybe it wouldn't pop up. I think over preparation is just, it hones your discipline. To me, I think you just if you want to be a disciplined person, I think over preparation is important. What are your thoughts on over preparing? And that can be as far as anything.
Yeah, for me, I've tried to immerse myself in fields that I love naturally, so that the over preparation, if you will, is just a byproduct of my love of whatever I'm already doing. So it puts you in a sort of obsessive place where, that's just a byproduct of how much I fucking love football.
Right.
I'm going to be prepared when we go into these defensive meetings of, I've already watched all this film. I've already studied all this. I've run this play on Madden 30 times last night, just to see how it's gonna play itself out when we get onto the practice field. Or if it's comedy, I just love going to do stand up, and I've been doing it for 4 years on a weekly basis. Like I'm over, so if an opportunity ever presented itself, I wouldn't be nervous to go up and perform comedy for Jimmy Fallon or something like that, because I already know what gets the laughs, because I just enjoy doing it so much. Or if it's film, it's like I obsess over certain shots, certain directors. I'll stand there, I'll watch it over and over again, and if it comes for me to frame up a shot, I'll be able to frame it up nicely, just because I have studied it, because it's something. It all comes back to doing whatever it is that you're passionate about. And so that preparation comes from your inner yearning to be able to be in a certain space, right? So if you know what I'm saying, if you want to work for Goldman Sachs, and if that's something that you're pressed on, you're gonna prep. You're gonna do this. You're gonna make a way for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have already gone to that school or do whatever. You know, depending on the age of the listener here, I would say put yourself, give yourself some time to understand what it is that you could do for free.
Hmm.
And try to make a career out of that. That way, preparation is not some kind of laborious task.
I think everything you said is true. I actually love all of that. Because again, I take it back to that Mamba mentality, that Kobe thing, and it's like over preparation doesn't have to be, at least when we talking about in the scope of reinventing yourself. I think that's important because if you are reinventing yourself, there's nothing wrong with over preparation. Like, yeah, you may seem like you're obsessing, but it's just like at the end of the day, you're trying to step out of your comfort zone. You have to over prepare. Like, I would much rather go into a situation knowing everything and having it be useless than say, okay, well, in the past, I just shoot the shit and it's just like I study for a little bit. You're like, you know what, I got this. My mind is good. I'm fresh, whatever else. I'm going to just go in here and wing it. And I think if you reinvent yourself, you just can't do that. I think over preparation, and it's, again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It sounds like you're doing too much, but I would much rather do too much than look back and try to figure out what went wrong and say, okay, I should have fixed this, I should have fixed that. You're like,
Right. Right. Yeah, and it has to do with eliminating regrets, nipping the regrets in the bud.
Right.
So, like you said, you don't want to look back and wonder, well, I'm unhappy now. What could I have done to be happy? This is a time in our lives, you know what I'm saying? We're relatively young where it's like, figure it out what you love. Figure out what you want. Not necessarily what you love, but what you are content having, you know, your primary, breadwinning being. Like, even if you're not the richest man in the world, you know what I'm saying? None of us are. Do something that you can say, well, damn, I'm not, this ain't bad,
Right.
And it's not necessarily something that you are freaking nipping at the bud. Like, no one's saying you have to have a dream job. Nobody's saying you have to, do your number one thing on your list. You know what I'm saying? Because we all understand that we fall short,
Right.
and you're not gonna. Everybody's not gonna be LeBron James, but if you can be content and find something that brings you a moderate amount of joy or at least peace of mind, do that and do it well. You know what I'm saying? Like, and find purpose in the work that you do. A lot of us are upset because we don't see any point to what we're doing.
Right.
And so if that's where you find yourself at listening to this, you need to re-examine what your purpose is. Because each of us have this thing. I truly believe each of us have a purpose, that a reason why we're on this earth, and we have to find that. And until we find that, until we know what that is, we're kind of lost,
Yeah. And I agree. I felt lost for a good minute. I was like, okay, I think about Onisha and how she's doing her whole USDA job or whatever else that she has right now. But it seems like some days she's, overworked, or she, works hard and everything else with her office, so she's helping other offices. But even with her being overworked and she'll come home and she'll be frustrated, I can see how much she loves the job, and I envy that, Like, IT is cool and everything else, but you look around and you're like, okay, the personalities with the people are kind of terrible. I don't really vibe well with it. It's kind of like you can't. The people, like the things that people laugh at in the IT realm are just weird. I would much rather just rather take my personality and use it in a way that I feel like makes me happy at the end of the day, which is why, again, I'm just looking at this whole HR situation.
Right.
And so within that, I guess what, like I was saying about allowing yourself to feel earlier, but before you join, a lot of people, you said that people have coping mechanisms, with like self awareness and code switching and different. They just coping with different stuff. Um, how how important to you is it to be in the moment and allow yourself to feel? Because I think some people, like I said before, they psych themselves out with over preparing, but they kind of get to a point where they prepare so much that they kind of just floating. Like you're not actually allowing yourself to be in the moment and experience a situation, or just be in the moment and experience where you are in life. Like we look so far ahead. Especially in this generation, me and you growing up in, it's like I think kids born in the '90s, they just over. How can I say it? I guess overstimulated with success. It's like every time you look up, we had a new product. So it was like we had damn gigapets and Nintendo 64s, and like people and companies were always doing more and building more and just giving us something new. Like every summer we had something else. Until
Right.
again, you always want to try to make a profit. I get that, but like we've never in this generation that me and you come from, we've never actually been comfortable in a spot for a good amount of time. You get something, and as soon as you get it, you looking like, okay, well, fuck that. 6 months from now I want to own this, and I want to have this LLC, and I want to, like, just it's always people moving. Do you feel like you should sit down and just allow yourself to feel and enjoy the moment?
Absolutely. That's really the key there, is to be able to be still and accept being. We are
Right.
human beings. We're not human doing, and we need to spend less time doing and more time being. And what you just described, I call that um, the Disney World syndrome. Right?
Right.
You know, we're going to Disney World. The kids scream and they get ready to go, and then you know you want to go back, and it's like, no, we can't go back. We just left from Disney World. You know, and that's done to each and every one of us at a very young age, and we're thinking, well, when am I when am I going back to Disney World? And
Right.
so we
Right.
keep plugging that in: Xbox 360, Xbox One, iPhone 12, and yes, 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 and then that our look on things, objects, becomes our outlook on life, but that is not, those are not one and the same, right? Like I could have an iPhone 3 right now and it wouldn't change who I am. It wouldn't change my BMI, it wouldn't change my the makeup of my hairline or anything like that. I'm still right, but for some reason an iPhone 3 doesn't appeal to me. And it doesn't.
Right.
But why is it?
Yeah.
You know, it's because our mental has been conditioned back to our social awareness. We
Hmm.
are socially aware that we have less than the rest of the
That's
world. When
facts.
iPhone 3, that becomes our awareness. We are aware that I have a 3 and they have a 12,
Hmm.
and that doesn't jive with us. And it comes back to that that need, that inherent need for societal belonging.
Hmm.
So if we feel like we're being left behind by society, we're going to overcompensate
In other
by
places.
oversharing. Right. We're
Right.
going to try to get ready for the moment where, somebody talks about the new feature on their iPhone, and we'll be able to say, yeah, me too. What the heck? You know,
And you,
like,
and you sit there and it's just like you look back and you're like, dude, I get shit, and then turn around and don't even want it. Like it's again, we're so overstimulated,
hmm
and like products and things and topics are just so saturated. It's just like you sit there and you become a part of different cultures and like whether that just be music, certain music cultures or technology cultures and whatever else, and you sit back and you're like, do I even really like this shit, or am I just trying to move to the
hmm
next thing? Let me figure out what's the next thing. Okay, today is Doge, tomorrow is AMC. It's like,
right,
but at the same time, you sit there and like, okay, I don't really care about crypto. I don't understand forex. I don't understand this financial stuff. Somebody just told me I ought to throw some money in there and be like, listen, that's all well and good, but if you're not an investment type of person, you don't have to try and look for the next thing to be a part of. Like,
right,
there are plenty of things that you could enjoy, or could involve yourself in that you actually align with, and you never end up wasting your money.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think,
FOMO. Yeah. FOMO.
yeah, it's definitely FOMO, and I
Yeah.
think that fear of missing out, it goes, I think that goes with everything. It's like, again, like you want to be on to the next thing. You don't want to. You look at the people that you went to college with, or in your graduating class, or people you went to high school with, and be like, uh, subconsciously, you're like, okay, as long as I'm doing better than this person, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. You know, like I may be moving a little slower, and I think that's terrible that we think that way. But I know a lot of people who probably think that way. You're like, all right, cool. I
Oh,
know,
that way. That causes people to have full nervous breakdowns.
right?
People really come to their wits end. That brings people to tears when people see their friends on trips, and
Hmm.
you're like, I have no way to take a trip right now with my
Right,
money situation. You see people going backpacking across Europe. You're like, what the fuck? And then
right,
it starts to add up, and you're seeing friend after friend after friend, and you're thinking, well, what the hell is wrong with me? But then
right,
you back again, you realize they're only showing the epic moments of their
right.
journey. You know what I'm saying? And you look back, it was probably only 7 people out of however many people you're following. You just happen to know them, and you're
Yep.
thinking now everybody in your. I'm sure you have a friend right now who's going through way worse shit than you are, but
Right.
that's not you know on the center of your mind
Right.
for whatever reason. You know?
And I think with the point of allowing yourself to feel, I think whether or not the feelings are good or bad, I still think you should feel it. Like you can take that as motivation. I think you should still be grounded in some of what's motivating you. Like, yeah, you see that, like you said, they backpacking across Europe and whatever else. That may or may not motivate you, but at the same time, just take it in, process it. Because I mean, again, like you said, it'll bring people to a nervous breakdown and everything else. But like you said, they're sharing the epic moment, but it's not an indictment on your life. You know, it's kind of just, okay, cool. I see that they did that. I wish that I could do that. Um, if that's something that I'm really striving to do, let me just sit down and figure it out. Like it shouldn't be a situation where you feel less.
Right.
So it's just, again, allow yourself to feel. Um,
Hmm.
you got anything else on allowing yourself to feel that I may or may not have missed? I think that was pretty good
Um,
though.
I have something else. What's
Okay.
about feeling is you
Hmm.
have to give yourself space and quietness to feel. That's the other reason why it's so hard for us in our generation is
Hmm.
we really don't. It's not a part of our culture. I guess really Western culture to stop,
Hmm.
give ourselves silence. It's actually antithetical to a capitalist society to have any type of quiet and free from activity.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
that's how, you know what I'm saying? That's how products are sold. That's how we are sold. We need flashy, shiny things in our faces
Hmm.
for us to want to buy them, right? Just we need that Cocoa Puffs commercial
Yeah.
so we can go ask mom and dad if we can buy some Cocoa Puffs. You know, that shit is still happening to us.
Definitely still happening.
And, uh, you know, whether it be an iPhone or a new Lexus or whatever, right?
Right.
They want to put that shiny shit in your face. Need pizza so you can go get hungry on your commercials. They want that. They want all that in your face.
Yeah.
They want all that noise. And so, in order to make smart decisions in our lives and be clear minded, we have to give ourselves some time, really daily, to just meditate. And meditation is not necessarily crisscross applesauce. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Humming. It's
Right.
anything that you can do without a notification
Yep.
popping up, without a vibration popping up. Anything you can do, even if it is playing 2K, play that 2K and turn
Right.
your phone off and play and just enjoy it and play a couple games. And don't let anybody bother you. Don't let anything bother you. If it's walking, go for that walk. If it's playing ball outside, go play ball outside every day Find time for your quietness and for your joy and for your flow, and that is what's going to increase your creativity, and that's gonna open up, your mind for things that's gonna help you get organized in your regular place. You're
Right.
like, okay, I played my 2K. Now let me clean up my room, or I played my 2K. Now let me organize my schedule because I gave myself something.
Right.
We spend time and time again not giving shit to ourselves, and then wondering
That's facts.
smother because you
That's
haven't given
facts.
yourself anything.
So
Yeah, you have not bullied yourself.
I hear what you're saying there, and so what I'm picking up from that, at least for my own self, I think in what you said, we should also reevaluate, our structure in our life because again, for me, when I was at my mental stress free height was when I would just go to. This is when I still had a membership to LA Fitness. I wouldn't even actually do shit at LA Fitness. It'd probably be, I mean, I may play basketball every couple of days, every day, whatever else, but I would go to LA Fitness, I would sit, and I would just people watch. And I was like the most mentally free I had ever been. I don't know why, but that was just part of
Mm-hmm.
my day. I would get up, I would go to work, I would I would come home, I would, get changed, go to LA Fitness, I would go to the basketball court or whatever else, and I would just sit and I would people watch. Or I would sit and watch these guys just play a few games of basketball, and I was just, mentally at peace. No phone, no nothing. It was weird, but I think that just worked for me. Um,
It wasn't
so
weird at all.
so I think maybe we, like you said, we should just, sit back and give ourselves something. So if that's reading your book every day. Read your book. If you if you play 2K, do that. If you got plants to repot, do that. But again, so you're
100%.
saying move away from the electronics if that's what's attacking you, I guess.
Right, right. Definitely put down the phone for a little bit, or honestly, pick up the phone. If you have an app that calms
Yeah,
you down,
true.
that's not something that's social comparison. Pick up the app. I'm not anti tech at all.
Right,
I'm just anti rat race. I'm anti comparison. I'm
right,
anti, what I'm saying, like counting, clout chasing. Like
mm,
that's just gonna tear you apart. If
right,
there's a page on Instagram that you like to watch some funny videos and laugh, okay,
mm,
that's fun. Like
right,
like no one in here is gonna act like we're really off our phones.
right,
Just find something, and you'll know it when you find it. It's just not inflaming your senses.
right.
I feel like we have a lot of inflammation in our, and I'm not even speaking on no scientific. This is just metaphysical. I just feel like we have inflammation on our freaking neural pathways from all
Yeah.
the crap that we consume and not even know we're consuming it.
No, I
Like,
get that.
you ever have that where you feel like your phone just vibrated in your pocket and you don't even have your freaking
Yeah.
phone on you, or don't even have pockets?
No, it's like
You
that.
know?
It's like that for me with my Apple Watch. Like from time to time, I feel like I'll get like a buzz or a beep or whatever. I'll flip my watch over and it's nothing. I don't have a red dot, no notification. I'm just so I'm used to doing this, and I just
Yeah, exactly. And
same
that's
thing.
the phantom vibration.
Right. So
Yep.
I have a few more things for us to talk about. One of the last things, but I'll break it down a little bit. So it's about leveraging your pain. I'll tell a story. So I was looking into putting in some applications to new places or whatever this week, and I actually this was maybe 2 weeks ago. So I went and put in an application. I'm just going through the process of doing whatever else, and I swear to God, I just had like this halfway mental breakdown, anxiety attack, uh, pseudo imposter syndrome situation going. Like it was weird. Like it was kind of like out of body experience, and I couldn't even put the information into the app. Didn't know what was wrong with me, and it was just like I felt like I had been through all this before, at a certain point at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna, because what happened was at the beginning that kind of put me into like this weird depression. Didn't realize I was
Mm-hmm.
going through it or whatever else until looking back at it. And it's just like, okay, fuck that. Am I gonna let this attack me again? Am I gonna sit back and just sulk and whatever else? Or am I just gonna say fuck it, feel the way that I need to feel, beat myself up for a second, and still put the application in and do another one? And so that's what I ended up doing. And it's just like, you look back and you don't know what the hell you even scared of. The only thing that I sat there and did, I said, okay, whatever, this is dumb. Let me just feel it, go through it, fill this out. Next thing, you put another one in, and as I put more in, it's kind of like that situation is free from my mind at this point. Like, I haven't even thought about it. But I thought that it was important for you. Again, like I said, leverage your pain. You went back, you thought back to a time, at least for me, thought back to a time where I was like at my worst mentally about, are my job skills enough, or would I be able to do this? You reading through the, job responsibilities, you be like, oh, well, I did some of that, but I didn't do a whole lot of it. You're like, listen, you got people on their job every day at this point who, they take off twice a week. They don't do shit. When they do the work, they do it wrong, and yet they still have a job. It's like, dude, just fill the shit out, and it may or may not work out for you. Who knows? But you never know if you just don't put the shit in. So where do you stand as far as leveraging your pain? And this again, however you wanna map it out. Where you stand on that?
Yeah. Well, and so I'm a coach, like I said, football coach, and in our locker room, we have a line, and it says there's two different types of pain. One is the pain of progress. The other is the pain of regret.
Right.
And you have to choose which one. And so you can't leverage the pain of regret.
Right.
That's not a leverageable pain.
Right.
But that pain of progress, that's just weak. That's what that is. So when you feel the pains, the growing pains, you got to grow or die, like they say.
That's true.
And time is not going to stop ticking because you're hurting.
Right.
Time will tick continuously, and we will die one day. And whatever you did is what you did.
Yeah.
Whatever you don't finish by the time you die will never be done. And to me, that's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Because it puts some type of urgency to our lives. Well, I wouldn't want to live forever. Well, I would do nothing.
Right.
We wouldn't do anything. We wouldn't love. There would be no love. We'd have no reason to cherish anyone or anything. And so, understanding that life is finite, experiences are finite, that puts more flavor on the things that you do.
Some extra seasoning, man.
Flavorful. You know what I'm saying? Even the pain. Life is not about living in as much bliss as possible. Bliss is just, our happiness is just the contrast of pain.
Right.
So, it is a necessary feeling to have. It's more concerning if you never feel pain. Then you might be some kind of, psychopath, sociopath, or something.
And I mean, that I definitely agree with that part. That was what I was gonna make a point to what you said about you can't leverage the pain of regret, and I think that is also that leads to some people's trauma, with whatever your trauma may or may not be. I think that is relative, to the person though. Like people, I at least for me, I try not to make light of. I guess I try not to make light of what people consider traumatic experiences, because I know for me, what I had just told you about the whole job application thing, that's a traumatic experience for me, only because like you have a situation where you fill out something, you do an interview, but nobody calls you back. They don't tell you if you did get the job. Obviously you didn't get the job, but they don't tell you why. They kind of just, they wash their hands with you or whatever else, and you hear nothing. That, for me, that's traumatic, because when you feel like you did everything you could and you like, oh, I knocked it out, did whatever else, and then you hear nothing, it's like, okay, cool, they just kind of shitted on me. So for me, that would be trauma for me. For somebody else, that'd be like, okay, well, that's just dumb, just go do another one. But again, socially, I think that gives you that type of shit gives you anxiety going forward because you're like, okay, shit, I think I'm the shit, and you can have as much confidence in yourself as you want to, but you don't when you don't control anything. You can think you the shit all day, but it's like, all right, cool. You can think you the shit. I'm still not giving you the job. So I get
Yeah.
the thing. So what about traumas and dealing with your traumas? Do you think it's a such thing as light trauma? Like it's like, okay, hey, because I mean, the reason I say that is because like if you look at children, I look at like Lee, like look at my son. He
Mm-hmm.
he broke a cracker the other day, and you would think that he had just a traumatic experience. He broke his cracker. He was tripping out. He was crying. It's just like, um,
Mm-hmm.
what are there any levels to trauma, or is this just like, hey, whatever you had it happen to you, deal with it, move on.
Mm. Levels to trauma. Different versions are different trauma.
Hmm.
I would say, yeah, I would say it's a very subjective um idea. You know, one thing could be traumatic to you is nothing to me, and then and vice versa. So, um, I think it's all about understanding your trauma
Hmm.
and getting to the root of why things hurt. And it's really about staring these moments in the face and asking, why does that hurt so bad?
Right.
Or what to make this hurt so bad? And what's up with that? And until you can kind of examine it for what it is, you won't understand what to walk towards and what to walk from. And you may end up finding yourself walking into repeated traumas
Hmm.
or falling for that same trap.
I definitely agree with that.
You
Definitely
know,
agree with that.
so that comes back to that quiet time
Hmm.
or that flow time. You know what I'm saying? It's important to empty out your mind because the more you dilute, say, okay, take it like this, right? Say I got a big glass and I got some hot sauce and I pour about, you know, um, half of the bottle of hot sauce in this glass. Okay, that hot sauce is in that glass. That trauma happened, right? The hot sauce is in that glass. So if you drink that straight, it's gonna be spicy. It's gonna burn you up. Okay, but say this water right here is self care.
Hmm.
Okay, so you pour just a little bit of self care in there. It's still very spicy.
Right.
Still very spicy. But if you continuously water that glass,
Mm.
it's still gonna be have a hint of spice to it.
Right.
You know, but the more care that you put to it, the flavor of the hot sauce will never go away. The
Right.
hot sauce will never go away. The hot sauce is in there, but you can pour so much water into it that it gets to the point where it damn near tastes like regular cup of water.
Right.
You know, that's just about it's just about diagnosing yourself in a way that is open minded, in a way that is see the one the if and until you take the first step of understanding that there was trauma or that
Mm.
an event did happen that can be seen as traumatic, no matter how goofy you think you are for feeling this way, you can't judge yourself for feeling the way you feel. All you can
That's
do
true.
is acknowledge the fact that you're having these feelings, sit with that, and then begin the process of processing.
I agree.
Because processing your emotions is a process in itself.
I definitely agree. So with you saying that actually goes directly into what my one of my last topics or last points is. So I was just thinking about that was really like the first time that I kind of understood that I was going through kind of like this weird anxiety attack type situation, right? So I guess that goes back to the self awareness, but also how I guess that was my plan of attack was just to just go through it and just keep filling out apps and shit like that. How do you attack anxiety in your life?
Oh man, so I'll be the first one to tell you with medicine. I'll be the
Mm-hmm.
first one to tell. I talked to my doctor, and I'll be the first one to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like I am not like the type of person who to I take antidepressants, and that is you wouldn't think I'm depressed, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you are depressed because you take antidepressants. You like mental health is anything like blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
anything like diabetes, it's anything like that. I feel like in the black community we've put such a stigma on speaking openly and effortlessly
Right.
about you know your mental health. I was diagnosed as bipolar in high school. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? And I didn't take it lightly. I didn't take it lightly. Like if a doctor tells you something, don't be like, "Oh, I'm gonna just pray it away" or something, or this and
I
that.
agree.
Like take that medicine, and you can live a perfectly normal, happy life. You can
Mm-hmm.
indulge in whatever it is you indulge in. You can smoke weed. You can drink. You can kick back with your friends, as long as you just take seriously your health, just like anything else. Like if someone told you that you had high blood pressure, would you be like, "Oh, my family, we don't believe in that. We just something ain't right. You just need to follow."
I,
No, it's like
yeah.
the medicine that prescribes can make you feel better than any type of journaling
Right.
somebody tells you to do.
I mean, hey,
Like
faith
if you're,
without works.
yeah, I'm full believer in medicine, pharmaceutical medicine, not no fucking like magic, whatever. Rub these three stones on your crystal and lay down. Like that shit'll just drive you even crazier, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the thing about our brains is our brains are chemically based. So whatever feeling you're feeling, there is an actual chemical associated with happiness, stress, sadness. There are places in our brain, the hippocampus. There's this people have studied this way smarter than us, and I just leave it to science. I'm blessed to have, you know, a great doctor
Right.
and someone you can talk to. And I feel like if we don't have those doctors, we need to seek those doctors out through our, primary care person
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Hey, I need somebody," and it will be done. It's not like we tend to think like we can't never get these doctors. They're somewhere out there. Done. Like no, they're there. They're ready to help. They're
Right.
just you just gotta reach out to them.
And so with all that, how much is like your friend groups? Like how much does that help? Because I had this thing I wanted to hit about renewing your I guess how did I write it? Um, renewing your status amongst your friend groups. I guess like this like some people like you have friend groups where it kind of just feels like they may be the users of you and then you may be the users of them. Like you only they invite you to stuff. You only come around if it's convenient. Like you never, even if it's just to go out for pizza, you not showing up unless we going to something fancy. I want bottomless mimosas. I want this. I want what I want. And
Mm-hmm.
like, do you think that we're at a point where we should be renewing our status amongst our friend groups? Because again, like I said at the beginning, before you joined, I think we seeing a lot of people like the world is opening back up. People are going places and they are coming back home not friends anymore. I was looking at Instagram and some woman she posted while she was there. She was like, "Well, came out here with a person I'm no longer friends with, and they just got on a trip. Maybe like within that weekend, probably the first day. And obviously, they're not friends anymore. She got her bottle. She drinking her champagne in her room, doing her. How do you renew your status amongst your friends from time to time? Like, do you check in and say, hey, like, am I being a good friend, or is it something that I could be fixing, or is it what? How do you handle that?
Um, that's an interesting question because I don't. I think we've got to define friend because
That's true too.
you know they like we have to get a clear definition of what a friend is because I feel like we have a lot here and there, and then we end up, we look around, we have very few friends.
Right.
As long as you know who your ride or die is, if you know what I'm saying, that's the only ones you really need. The rest are nice to have, but they come and go. And as we continue to grow, we'll make new friends. And so you can't be scared to let some people go
I agree.
because you will make new friends. It might, it might not seem that way, but you got so much life to live, so many people to meet. You'll click with somebody else again in the future. And even if you go around some days and feel like you have no friends, that's when you need to be a friend to yourself and be compassionate with yourself and with your family. Because really, really, this whole friend relationship should go more towards family. I feel like, because I feel like it's important to check in with family,
Yeah.
because as crazy as family can be, as great as family can be, is that's your those are your friends. I
Yeah.
mean, in a certain sense. Am I check? Speaking of checking in, when's the last time I called so and so? When's the last time I
Yeah.
just said hello to my, you know, whoever, because those are the ones that, at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. And friends come and go, and if somebody's not being a great friend, then I'm not the type of person to be a great. Personally, me, I am not the type of person to be nice to someone who's not shown me their best, you know, because it'll just hurt you. It'll just hurt you
I agree.
if you're keep playing patty cake back and forth, and something happens once or twice.
Hmm.
It's time to go. It's just time to fall. And I'm not a confrontational guy either. I just fall. I just fade away. But
I agree.
but it's me being from here and in my city where I came up, and then you have people, because I went to college here, and then you have people coming in talking about, well, where were you at this and this? Like, nigga, I
Hmm.
live here. I've always lived here. Uh, there's no telling where I could have been. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I could have been in my aunt's house. Could have
Right.
been at my high school. Could have been anywhere. And so, but to me, it's just like a friend is rare. And if you have one, you need to keep that one friend, because that's the thing about a friend, is it's a friendship, and you want those to go as long as they can if it is a friendship. The number one thing is identifying, are they there for me? Can I call them whenever? Can they call me whenever? And you know what I'm saying? Do I want this person as a friend? Sometimes you might have people who want to be your friend. You're just not
You,
feeling them like that.
and you
So
know
how do
what?
you deal?
It was funny that you said that because just last night I was being an ass, but I said that, and I've said this before, but I said I'm not friends with anybody. These motherfuckers are friends with me, and that's just how I feel. And it's not a slight to anybody or anything like that. I just feel like I'm always gonna have my best interest at heart, no matter what. So if it doesn't work for me, it just doesn't work for me. So that's just how I feel. It's like, and I feel like
Right.
everybody should be like that. It doesn't have to be a rude thing or a mean thing or anything else. I just feel like you should have your back more than anybody ever. Like I'm not counting on anybody to make sure I'm good. And so,
You got to.
and I think that's one of those things where, like, when you talk about friends, I know people say that you got to have something outside of your spouse, and I think you do. But if your spouse or your girlfriend or whoever is is your friend, is your best friend or whatever, especially if that's the basis of you guys' relationship, that works. But I think it should also, um, just make sure you both are good. Like you can have just each other as long as you like, okay, cool. I know you need your day for you to just do you and whatever else. Like, I think
Yes.
that's fine. I know
That
people, you know.
your relationship, yeah, you're not there. If you're not giving your partner days
Hmm.
off, that y'all aren't in no long term relationship for real. Like,
Yeah.
you know how that goes. It's like, I'm not even trying to see you, talk to you. Just, I'm like, okay, you got it, we got it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And vice versa. Because that's what real love looks like.
And the reason that I said that is because I look at like I know people bring up the grandparents or whatever else, but I just look at like the grandparents, and yeah, it's a lot of your grandmother. She, couldn't really be by herself anyway because your status as a just a person back in the day was directly tied to the man you was with. I get that, but within that situation, you still that's something that they strive for. A lot of women wanted to be married. Their husband was their best friend, and it's like I think the youthful factions of us look at it like, oh well, you don't have to be married, and that's not something you gotta strive for. But at the same time, if you want to be married and you want to be in that relationship, yeah, your spouse should be your friend. Maybe not your only friend, but that should definitely be like your best friend. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna be with them all the time. They understand you the best. It's just like, all right, cool. You look at how they were, and not everybody grandparents was like, okay, yeah, granddaddy had like a second family over here, and grandmother couldn't leave because whatever. Like that's not everybody's story, and I hate when people do that. To kind of make this narrative like you still gotta have your own thing. You can have your own thing and still let that be the only friend that you have. I just think
Right.
that's more than likely a person that is not gonna change on you because your friend groups, you got different friend groups, and they go through their own phases of life, their own self awareness. They go through their own, just whatever the hell they going through, and it's just like, okay, cool. If these people are gonna keep changing on you, you got to get your one person and stick with their ass because at least at the
Right.
end of the day, you be like, all right, cool. I know when I come home, you ain't gonna be on no dumb shit.
Right. Exactly. At the end of the day, right. Sometimes your friend might be tripping, and
Right.
you need to talk to your wife and be like, "Dang," and your wife will give you interests in your own interest. When you
True.
know what I'm saying, when your friend, you know what I'm saying, just because you have a quote unquote best friend, that don't mean that they won't trip and you won't trip, and they won't get jealous of your success. You can get jealous of your own best friend. You know what I'm saying? You could be, you could do some shady shit to your best friend. Your best friend could do some shady shit to you, and nobody is infallible, and this life is not a life of absolutes. It's a complex world that we live in. It's a cold world, it's a complex world, and when you have relationships, you need to just pick the most solid relationships you can pick. Solid is the most important adjective. I think you just need something solid, something that foundational. You know, like you said, a relationship built on friendship, and a friendship built on like just trust and
Hmm.
common understanding
Right.
of what the vibe is. You know what I'm saying? And some of those things are unspoken. Most of that is unspoken.
Right.
You don't necessarily know why you become friends with somebody. If you did, we would all have our Bluetooth turned to that setting.
Right.
Friendship, pairing, and some
Nah,
shit.
that's
You
true.
don't know why or who you'll click with.
That's definitely
But
true.
you need to peep shit and peep it early and take note of how shit is going. And I hate to take it back to this quiet time with yourself, but
Hmm.
reassess yourself in those quiet moments of, damn, I've been kind of wilding, or I know I'm wilding, or
Right.
I know I've been wilding this month. Like, I need to focus on focusing in. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because we all, you end up off the beaten trail if you don't do those self check-ins. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. That's definitely true. I think because it's important, at least for me, and again, this can be in your friendship with your partner. It's just like, hey, um, let me again everything. People in life, I think you want it to be convenient for you. At the same time, you gotta look back and be like, okay, what kind of concessions should I be making? I think it's important, especially if you're gonna be especially in a relationship. It's just like, okay, certain concessions have to be made. Especially if you have a situation where things are not exactly the way you want it. I also think you need to have a solution, right? So you
Mm,
that I think that's part of it. It's just like, all right, cool. If you want things to be a certain way, you also have to come with your own version of a solution, and then that way you have a good back and forth. But I definitely like that. I definitely like that. I think to be honest with you, man, that might be it. I'm looking through these notes, and we hit the renew your status among that. Attack
Well,
your
I keep all
anxiety.
day. I
Did
was
you
just getting warmed up.
I was gonna say, did you have any other things any other points we could hit? Because I mean, I might have a little something for what you got. This was just out of my notes. I don't know if there's anything
Yeah,
in
keep it
particular.
coming, man. I was enjoying this.
Well,
Shoot,
what other
give me
listen, my brother. What other point would you like to hit between that? Again, when you came in, I talked about just reinvention. Not that we got away from reinvention, but if we just talking about reinventing, I guess
well,
reinventing yourself.
let's look at reinvention. Let's look back at it. When is it time to reinvent?
Right.
How do we know? Did you talk about when it's time?
So I didn't necessarily
Or
talk
why?
about when. I didn't talk about when or why, but as far as the when or why, I think that just it's subjective. It's like, hey, this person, you saying to yourself, all right, I'm tired of coming in here to this office and having my amount of work be disrespected. I think it's time for me to go. So it's just like, all right, cool. I know that I don't like this, but I don't know what I want to do. I guess it's time to reinvent myself. I will say this though. What if you? So you're coaching now. What did you actually go to school for? Like, what was your degree?
Right. So I got an English degree, undergrad, and then I got a film degree from Georgia Film Academy after I graduated from Morehouse. So you can say my degree is in film, basically. Right. That's what I would say. But I'm at this point in my life right now where I'm at a de facto crossroads.
Right.
Either, you know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways I could go right now. And I'm at this, what I'm doing is I'm taking all the roads. I'm coaching still. I'm filmmaking still. I'm making music still. Like, and I'm going to do it all until it all can't be done.
Okay. Because.
And so there's that thing where it's just like.
I get that. I get that because I wanted to make a point about what you were saying. It brought up this thing that I'm just gonna speak on the black community part of it, like at least for me. So a lot of times you see in the black community, you nigga pick something, do it well, and stick to it. You know, like we like at least for me, black people don't. They don't do a lot of congratulating while you're trying to pivot. Like, they just look at it like, well, you did this and you went to school for this. Why are you doing that? Only when you get to the finished product, they're like, oh, no, that's so commendable. You went back to school and did this and did that. And you know, motherfucker, you got a math major, but now you working on Broadway now. And that's so cool and this and that. But at the time when you auditioning for shit like that, okay, well, you went and got that degree in math. Why the hell are you auditioning for Broadway? Like, it's kind of, you just don't, nobody's crediting you while you're trying to pivot. Do you think we should start doing that? Like, just trying to see shit for what it is, or is that even a problem that you see?
No, I think we should definitely do that. I think we should give each other more praise day to day, all the time. I think we should, you know what I'm saying? I think we should make a habit of just congratulating people on just, even if they're not doing shit. Just, you know what I'm saying? I mean, even if you're not really about shit, just be like, you know, that was good. You know, because nobody's harder on themselves than themselves.
Yeah.
So if you see somebody who's unemployed right now, and you know what I'm saying, and they you know, making art, you know what I'm saying, buy a piece of their art, or just say, damn, I see it. This is really good. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not necessarily the best. And I'm not on the type of tell your homeboy to keep rapping even if he can't rap. That is the exception. If a nigga cannot rap, you need to tell him that.
You're right.
But on everything else, you know what I'm saying? Because people are out here Some people are out here really sad, really on their last leg. You just don't know who it is. And so, you know what I'm saying? We need to make a habit of, A, having a better self-talk to ourselves, as well as extending that to our friends and family and strangers, honestly. Because I think it's abhorrent the way that we talk to strangers. I think we do a pretty decent job of talking to each other. But when it comes to talking to strangers, I feel like that is where the world gets real shicey. You know? Like, we're, and for some reasons, you know, I understand. But it's just like, damn, we need to really try to find a way to lead with some sort of cordialness or kindness. You know,
I definitely agree. I don't think I'm the most cordial when it comes to strangers, but I think my problem is how can I put it? I think I allow people to stay too long, right? And that's with anything. Like, it's certain situations you be like, okay, I probably need to dead this shit. But I think I allow people to stay too long. So my mechanism, my coping mechanism with that is just like, I would much rather just have this, you know what I'm saying, this face be like, don't approach me type of deal. And it's not that I wouldn't talk to them. It's just like, I'm not in the mood. I'm not always in the mood to make a new friend. So it's just like, I don't know if I'm good at, sometimes I can, but I'm not usually good at ending conversations with people that I don't know. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I would feel rude for being like, all right, buddy, I gotta go, and you know, like, that's just me though. So I think that's just, I would much rather just have a face like, and having a mask on helps too, because it's just like when you got the mask on, niggas is not necessarily trying to approach and whatnot. But it's just like, I would much rather not have this conversation because I don't do well with ending conversations. I don't want to feel like that I'm cutting you off, and because some people, you know what I'm saying, some people they'll talk, and I'm just saying stranger wise, some people will meet a new person, they'll talk all day, and that's just their personality. They don't, and I'm saying not that they won't want to talk all day, they will just talk until you cut them off. They don't have an off button. They will talk the entire time. So it's just like, all right, cool.
I got a life hack for that.
What's that?
I got a life hack. Okay, what you do is clap your hands and take a step back. And then you say, oh, all right, take care now. The phrase "take care" can end so much. It's great to see you. It's been wonderful meeting you. Take care now, and then you clap your hands real hard, and then you take a step back.
And I think again, like this is just speaking from the perspective of black people. I think we say that white people overshare. I think black people really overshare, especially with other black people. We will tell every fucking thing, and it's just like you meet people and they're like, yeah, so how you doing? Yeah, you know, I'm alright. I'm still kicking. I ain't kicking too high, but I'm still kicking. You know that, and that dog out there, you know, he on his last leg. He ain't doing too good, and my son, he back in jail again, and my daughter, she doing real good, but she pregnant now, so you know, I'm like, listen, I just asked how you were doing, but the thing is, like sticking with the therapy Thursday theme. Half the time it's like, do you really care? You know, and it's kind of like you don't know how to finish the conversation because you're going through so many like formalities and shit, and it's just like, oh, how you doing with it? And you don't expect them to tell you for real, and it's like, okay, you gotta start crafting your conversation better. Then that's just how I feel. At least for me, I've always done that. I don't really ask questions I don't want the answer to.
Right.
Because you can end up going home. You can go home with a heavy goddamn heart. How you doing? Well, yeah, you know, my husband, he got COVID and he this, and I can't go see him. And be like, okay, they just start bawling, crying. And now you got to be that listening ear, and you got into some shit you didn't really expect to. And so now you went home with some of their trauma.
Right.
I think you got to be, I think you got to fix that.
That's true. You have to be careful about, you know, who you open up to and who you let open up to you. That's for sure. you might end up accomplice to a murder.
That's facts too.
Yeah, I just killed my wife and came over here. Like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do now?
Well, I'm glad you said that. I think that I can take that with me. I hope somebody else takes that with them. I think being more well intentioned in your conversation, know what you want to say when you speak to people. I'm gonna take that with me. Let me see. What else did I have? So I want to pivot a little bit. We're gonna wrap up soon, but I'm gonna still keep some of what we usually do with our show, and that is moving into content consumption. Is there anything that you've been partaking in, music wise, show wise, podcast, anything this week
Yeah.
that you think would be of use to the audience?
All right. I've been listening to a lot of Baby Keem recently.
Hey, me too.
Oh man, he's good. He's real good. I've been listening to a lot of Baby Keem.
Mm-hmm.
I just love his flow. He's just great. He's just a great
Yeah.
artist. He's got that confident flow where
does.
he's just kind of declaring himself king, which I fuck with. What else? Content wise, I've been watching these playoffs. I'm really upset about the Lakers.
Yeah,
I'm
me
happy
too.
with the Hawks. Well, we still got the Hawks. As far as podcasts, I listen to this podcast.
We appreciate you,
Listen to,
man.
oh yeah, for sure. I listen to Bodega Boys. I fucking
Mhm.
love them. Um, let's see what else. Content. I'm reading this book here. I recommend this this author to anybody. This is Haruki Murakami, and he is
Okay.
a Japanese novelist.
Hmm.
And when I tell you this man's writing will change you, this man, he's just a brilliant writer. His stories are just so intriguing. This is like 1,000 pages.
Mhm.
I'm like fucking halfway through it, bro, and it is just that good. Like,
Okay.
wow.
What's the name of the book?
This book is 1Q84.
One
1Q84.
Q84. Okay. I'll drop that in the notes.
Uh,
And so
well, he has a
that
bunch of
way,
other ones that are really good. I
let me
read
see.
another one by him called. Well, you just look him up. Haruki Murakami.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I'll butcher the shit out of that. Just text me the name,
Right. Okay.
and I'll drop that in there. But I mean,
Haruki
that's some
Murakami.
good
All right.
stuff, man. So Japanese novelist, Baby King. You know. So, I guess for me, my content this past week outside of sports and whatever else, I actually am starting to get into Across That Bridge about John Lewis. Obviously, you can see that. Starting this back up, um, I had it for a little bit, but I don't know. It just sat, and I never really. Not that I didn't want to read it. I just was. I guess I was just in a space for myself that I wasn't really trying to read books. I was doing a lot of articles and whatever else. But I'm picking this up, so that's why it's sitting in the camera for anybody who's been looking there. But that'll be my content for the week. Hopefully that once I get through it, I will be able to bring something that I found into the show. Let's do black businesses. You have any black businesses that you would like to shout on the show? Yeah, I think you might still be muted. Let me see. But I know I see your shirt. Let's see. There you go. Check your. Let me see if you. I think you muted. I don't know why I don't hear you anymore. Because it's muted and it's. Nah, I still can't. It says you were off of mute. I just can't hear you now. Let me see. No, I'm not hearing you. I don't know what happened. Okay, let's see. He'll drop off and come back. But when he comes back, I'll let him do his. For me, my black businesses for the week is obviously myself. SonySniper.13 on Instagram. You can check out my photos, see if you like them. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you like what you see, and maybe you'll book me or something. I don't know. Also, Black is Love on Instagram. They have, again, I guess it's a apparel company, T-shirts. Just go check them out. Black is Love. I think they might still be running like a little promotion. I think it might just be free shipping, but just check it out. I think they have some nice shirts. So when you see my apparel come in that I have begun to order from them, I will post it up here again. Let's see here. I believe I had one more. Let me check. But I'm not seeing it in the notes. So again, plugging ourselves. Follow the socials, SBS4K, Dante Jamel, Extra Seasoning Baby, and see, here he goes, he's back. Extra Seasoning Baby on Instagram, Deontay Jamel, SBS4K. Follow my guy on Instagram at Prince Kennedy, and Good Eats at Good Eats 404.
Good Eats 404. Right.
But yeah, since you back, what the black businesses you wanted to shout in there?
Okay, well, I'm going to plug myself first. I'm just showing
Of
these
course.
T-shirts right here. Bellini, Fonda Parking only. Y'all make sure y'all holler at me for one of those. Selling for $25 each.
Okay.
And they're going to be going on like hot days, man. We're going to do a drop every 10 days. They're going to be gone before you know it. So make sure y'all get one of these. Hit me up in the DMs for one of those. Black business. Make sure y'all eat black. Y'all go to my Good Eats 404. I got a list on there of black-owned Metro Atlanta food spots.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I guess if you're looking for some books, there's Four Keeps books out there that's black owned. There's black owned grocery stores in Atlanta. Just gotta look those up.
Mm-hmm.
Nigga, you know, we all out here, we all black doing our thing.
Right.
Make sure y'all continue to listen to this podcast and just be black, you know, be black, be great. You know, come see me do stand-up Tuesdays and Wednesdays at Roll Call Theater at Ponce City Market. Go Cats.
Nah, that's dope, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you for coming on. And so, again, next week we will be doing the preview, Father's Day. Yeah, the Father's Day show preview. We should be doing that. So this was the Extra Seasoning Podcast. This was our Saturday edition of Therapy Thursday with my boy Prince Kennedy. Matt, we appreciate you, my boy. Hopefully you'll be back next week. I think we're gonna do a little bit of talking about like HBCUs or whatever. I know that you said you graduated from Morehouse. You also are a product of Westminster. So I want to talk about that contrast. I think that's pretty interesting. Just coming from that environment, going to one of the most black environments you can ever, go to in HBCU. So
right.
I think definitely think that'll be good. I appreciate y'all for sticking with us through our technical difficulties that we had and whatever else. You know what I'm saying? We moving. It's a live stream. It is what it is. Shit happens, But again, this has been my boy Matt, Prince Kennedy. I am Steve, your radical sneakerhead, the vaccine villain. This has been ESP, and we appreciate you. Check us out next weekend, man.
Holla.